How do I become an entrepreneur? Welcome back. My name is Ted Thomas, and I've been in the real estate business as an entrepreneur for over 30 years. If you like real estate like I do, and you're willing to focus, this can be a successful business for you. Now, computer skills are not necessary. However, if you have them, you're going to find it's very valuable because there's lots of research to do. All right, now the ability to work with people is much more important than any other skill. My point is, you can do this. So let me give you some steps and you'll learn how. Now, not every business appeals to every person. So there's many segments of the real estate business that are quite lucrative. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. Now, I discovered a subset of the traditional real estate 30 years ago. And once I saw how much profit was available and how easy the business was, that I could do it from home or I could do it as a solo entrepreneur. Well, that was a business really attracted me and I never looked back. Now, the subset of the traditional business is called tax liens and tax deeds. Now, most observers know very little about this very lucrative market. You're going to see in a few minutes how you can take advantage of this market, and anybody can do this that wants to spend the time. Now, I could say there's a lot of unique parts, whether it's commercial real estate or whether it's doing small office buildings or whether it's doing apartments. I like this business. It's mostly homes, sometimes small farms or small office buildings. But generally speaking, these are properties that have gone to default, and I'll tell you more about that. So in this episode, I'm going to be discussing how do I become an entrepreneur? In other words, how do you become an entrepreneur? So I'm not going to give you a 100-page business plan that you have to study. As a matter of fact, most of those 100-page business plans are not the place to start. It's always nice to have a plan, but most entrepreneurs are renegades. They go and do something, find out they got a little skill to do it, and then they keep growing that skill and they make it a craft. So most people are going to start with a plan. I'm not negative on the plan, but I can tell you most plans don't have anything about how to generate revenue and how to do any selling. So if that's the case, you're going to have a real problem. In order to have a successful business and to be an entrepreneur, you must generate money to keep your business going, and you must be able to have some sales ability so you can talk to people and get them to buy your problem-solving product. So many entrepreneurs start with a plan. I'm not negative on that, but I do want you to understand most of the plans won't say enough about sales, and they won't say enough about generating revenue and working with people. All right, so in this episode, I'm going to show you a step-by-step process where many people that have worked and followed what I've told them to do are able to make as much as $20,000, $30,000, and more on one deal, and they can do that multiple times in the course of the year. Now, if you do it multiple times, you're going to find out it's not a difficult business and their properties are available. So I'm going to talk about tax lien certificates and tax defaulted property. If you want to be an entrepreneur, here's a question you need to ask yourself. Can you solve problems? If you're a problem solver, then this is going to be an easy business for you because there's going to be lots of problems with properties that the tax collector has confiscated and resold. So you're going to have to think about how you're going to solve the problems. Now, anytime you can solve other people's problems, you have a good business. Why is that? Because people just like to have everything be a cookie cutter and everything thought out for them. They don't know how to help themselves financially. So if you can help somebody else and you're a problem solver, you're off to a good start. Now, many savvy entrepreneurs are really pretty good marketers. Now, if you're a good marketer, that's really going to help. Now, when I said earlier, you need revenue and you need sales, marketing and sales kind of go together. They're not exactly the same, but they go together. So if you have a product or a service that's going to solve someone else's problem, you're in the right place right now, and you're going to do very well as an entrepreneur. So let me give you an example. In history, Henry Ford realized that the horses weren't going to be around forever. There was a better way to make money. So what did they create? They created what they call a horseless carriage. Now, we know that that's cars now. Now, worldwide, we make so many cars in so many countries in the world right now, it's well over 80 million cars a year that are created. What about Stephen Jobs? Well, Stephen Jobs and Bill Gates, what did they do? They realized that you only could get so much paper on your desk. And if you wanted to do more work and do better work and be more efficient, then you needed a computer. So what did they do? They problem solved. They figured out that people were going to need those things, and they started manufacturing and marketing and whatever. All right, so what happens? Anybody that can solve problems isn't going to be successful. Some people are going to be more determined. Some people are going to be more pig-headed when it comes to concentration and focus. It's going to be up to you. But problem solving is kind of a number one thing to think about. Now, how do you become an entrepreneur? Well, create solutions. Figure out how to help willing buyers. Anytime there's a buyer out there, they probably have a problem. What is a problem that you can solve? Now, the United States attracts thousands, millions of people from around the world that want to be entrepreneurs. Why does the United States attract those people? Because this is a free market. It's enormous how many people start businesses in this country. They come from every other country and get started here. Why? Because we allow people to make mistakes. So it's okay for you to fail. And by that I mean just fail forward. Don't go into depression over it. Your chances of success are probably 1 in 10. Know that you're going to fail. But when you fail forward. Always be market driven. Market driven means, what are you doing to help other people? So entrepreneurs are usually renegades. What does that mean? They're not administrators. They're not going to follow the rules that the accountants want them to follow. They're going to do what they want. Now, I don't know what your skill level is, but you need to develop skills. If you can use a computer, that's going to be to your advantage. All right, but you need to develop skills. How are you going to do that? You're going to get a coach. You're going to get a mentor. You're going to get a guide. You're going to attend school. All right. You're not going to become an administrator. You're not going to become an accountant. You're going to stay as a renegader, but you're going to become a problem solver. I understand you don't want to follow rules. I don't necessarily want you to follow rules. I want you to come up with problem-solving products. That's how you become an entrepreneur. Now, entrepreneurs can usually, in 1 year, do what takes everybody else 5 years. So if that's you, go for it, because I know you're going to step on some toes. I know you're going to irritate some people. You can go back and apologize later. You need to be different. If you follow everyone else, you're going to get the same thing that they're getting. You want more. You want to be wealthy. You want to be well known. You want to be famous. I don't know why you want to be an entrepreneur, because it's hard work. Yes, it's hard work. All right. You may go bankrupt. Lots of entrepreneurs go bankrupt. That doesn't mean that's the end. That means you have to start over again and have learned from your mistake. Learn from your mistakes. Was your first idea stupid? No, but maybe it was ahead of the market. All right, so don't do that one again. Do another one. Products are sold and they generate revenue. The two important things you need is you need revenue and you need to learn to be able to sell your product. 30 years ago, I discovered a hidden market. The market has been available for over 200 years, and I just didn't know about it. I'd walked by it. I'd been around it for decades. I didn't even realize it was there. I was so busy being impressed with real estate that I didn't see this market. And when I did discover it, I was delighted. Why was I delighted? Well, the process of creating revenue for a business is not the easiest thing in the world. The second thing that's not the easiest thing is selling. All right, this business required that we have money to buy, but we were buying so low that there was going to be generous profit. Now, this business was titled Tax Liens and Tax Deeds. These were unwanted property by local county. So these properties were confiscated from people who did not pay their taxes. So what was the government going to do with those properties? The legislature mandates that the treasurer of the county not only levy the tax, collect the tax, and if they can't collect the tax, they confiscate the property. Now, treasurers in 3,000 counties are confiscating property. In other words, people that didn't pay tax. They are going to sell those properties for pennies on the dollar. Now, the beauty of this business, you don't need a license from the governor of the state. Anybody can do it. As a matter of fact, you're helping people. Who are you helping? You're helping your county or the county that you're buying in. In other words, they have a non-revenue property. In other words, they're not getting taxes. If you can buy that for pennies and resell it, it'll go back on the tax roll. You'll not only give the money to the county when you start, but the county will then get money for taxes. These properties can be sold at auction for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar. Now think about what I'm saying. The local county is going to sell properties for discounts of 60%, 70%, 80%. These are huge discounts. Folks, if you can buy for 60, 70, or 80% discounts, you're bound to be able to make some money. So for 30 years, I've been involved in guiding and mentoring people and showing people how to buy these bargain properties. If you want to become an entrepreneur, you could do this business from your home office, or you could work with others if you want, but you could do it from a home office. You could do it as a solo entrepreneur. The treasurer sells the property. You're going to buy directly from the government. And when you buy directly from the government, the treasurer is going to cancel any loan on the property or any deed of trust loan. So you're going to buy properties for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar that have no mortgage. All right, I didn't make those rules. They were made by the state legislature. You can't buy these from Ted Thomas. You buy them directly from the county treasurer. They collect taxes, and if they can't collect taxes, they sell the property. So the real estate business requires very little staff. All right, there's very few peaks and valleys. In this part of the real estate business, it's always the same. There's always too many properties. Now, small counties will have a few properties, a few dozen to sell every year. Big counties will have hundreds, sometimes thousands of properties. Here's a perfect example. The property is valued at $100,000 by the county treasurer. The delinquent taxes are $5,000. The county foreclosed on the property. They confiscated the property. Now they're going to sell it. They'll put an advertisement in the newspaper and on the county website. The public auction that takes place, anybody can attend. So let's say someone bids at the auction. It's open bidding. There was $5,000 starting bid. Let's say it's bid up to $30,000. You got the idea. All right, so whoever purchased the property bought the property for $30,000. It's probably slightly used and abused. All right, but they bought it for 30 cents on the dollar. Now they'll receive a deed. When they receive the deed, what can they do with it? Well, now they own the property. They can sell it to anybody they want. Now, how do you sell a property? Well, you put it on the MLS system. You put it on Zillow. You put it on Trulia. You put it on Craigslist. You can use eBay. You're getting the idea. So you can advertise that property anywhere you want. Now, do you have to sell for $100,000? No. What if you sell it for $60,000 or advertise it for $60,000? So you advertise it for $60,000 and someone offers you $55,000. Well, you certainly could take it because you only paid $30,000. If you only paid $30,000 and you sell it for $55,000, there's a $25,000 profit. How many times in your life would you like to do that? Well, you can make a business of it. So what's the question that's on the table today? How do I become an entrepreneur? Well, if you learn this business from training or from a mentor or from a coach, guess what? You can make $25,000 to $50,000 on every single deal, and you know what you were going to make before you purchase the property. Now, my name is Ted Thomas, and I'm going to tell you right now, don't look at any real estate or don't buy any real estate or bid on real estate unless you've had boots on the ground. What does that mean? That means you have to see the property. Don't just buy something you haven't seen. After all, if you were a woman, you would not marry the man unless you had seen him. Same situation here. You want to make sure you see it. Now, why do I want you to see it? Because there could have been a fire. There could have been a hurricane. It could be next to a chicken farm. There could be, I don't know all the problems that could happen. But the point is, you don't want to buy a property that's burned down. You don't want one next to a chicken farm. So look at the property before you buy. Another big mistake that people make is they get into a bidding war. For example, it was a $100,000 property and someone bid $30,000, but you really wanted that property. Well, don't let the bidding go up to $35,000 or $40,000 or $50,000 because it's destroying the margin. You want to keep the margin. So that means you have to have an exit strategy. You always want an exit strategy before you bid on a property. My name is Ted Thomas, and right below me is a free gift.